Thank you very much, Dr. Stangenberg-Haverkamp, for your time today and this interview.
Thank you for inviting me to this interview.
We're so excited to talk about Merck. It started off as a small company, big vision. 1688 was when it was founded. It's one of the oldest, longest-running pharmaceutical companies. How was it able to stay in business for so long?
Yes, 344 years now. Wow. It's a very long time indeed, and I think it's the oldest pharmaceutical chemical company in the world. We have proved that. I think the secret is to follow values. The value given by Emanuel Merck, he was the founder of the industrial part of Merck in 1827, was business first before family. Mm-hmm. So always follow first for the business and then the family. And think this sort of value has sustained up to now. And of course the other secret is, as a family business, always get the most talented people to run the business. If the family can't produce enough talented people, which no family can over all these years, then you have to try to engage the help of outside people, so external managers. And Merck already started very early, already in the 1920s, to get non-family members onto the executive board and giving them the same power and the same rights as family members. Yeah. So that really makes it then work for the family.
So the team within Merck obviously played a big factor in its success. Also, though, Merck made some very good investments over the years. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on the investments.
Yeah, investment, it's mainly to find the right slot you want to be in. And Merck always tried to be like a pharmacy, to produce small quantity businesses, highly innovative, at good quality. And that's what we focused on. So we never focused on bulk businesses, but always on niche businesses, and to be a very innovative driven company up to now. And that's the reason why we have got this slot, for example, in the liquid crystal industry. Right. We are one of the world market leaders, or also in ecology we are quite prominent, in pigments we are prominent, so all market niches we are in.
Mm-hmm. And of course Merck has close ties with Korea. 1989 we began a relationship, and why did Merck decide to invest in the country?
In those days it was mainly Korea started to develop very strongly into an industrial country, and Merck was also in the phase of expanding its activities already beyond the European border. So we have quite a long tradition actually. In the 70s and 80s we went mainly to the South American countries, and now of course then in the late 80s and 90s we went to the Asian countries. And Korea, giving the strong educational base of this country, always seemed to us being a good country to invest in, which has been proven right if you look at our business now we are doing in Korea. Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Korea, it seems that Merck has been making more progress in terms of chemicals over pharmaceuticals. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on the scene within our country and Merck, of course, especially in terms of what's driving that growth. You did talk a little bit about LCD a little earlier, especially in that relationship.
Yes, LCD, of course, is a technology which has been developed by Merck some 110 years ago. So we discovered liquid crystals at Merck.
But it's like everywhere now.
Yes, but in those days, you see, up really to the late 80s, nobody knew an application for it.
Right.
We understood the physical properties of LCDs, of liquid crystals, not of liquid crystals, but we didn't know how to apply it, where to apply it. That developed then in the mid 80s and 90s. And Merck, again, was the foremost company to develop it. And we have got many thousands of patents now on that. And in parallel to that, of course, the Korean industry, like Samsung and LG, started to develop flat screen technology. And so they were natural partners for Merck. And that's the reason why we already had a basis here in Korea. We widened that basis and are now in this very close partnership with all the leading Korean liquid crystal panels manufacturer.
Mm-hmm. So really, Korea is a very appealing place for Merck in terms of that technology.
Yes, it is a very important country. If you look, there are only in Japan, Taiwan, and in China now where flat panels are produced, right. Mass production. But the most prominent country, of course, is apart from Taiwan, is South Korea. But that doesn't mean that we do not want also to increase our presence here in other business fields. So chemicals, from our whole turnover of 10 billion euros, 40% are chemicals, 60% are pharmaceuticals. Yeah? So we are already based in Korea with our pharmaceutical activities. So we want to make further inroads here into the oncology fields. But we also, on the other hand, want to increase our chemicals presence by, which we already do, pigments for the car, for the automotive industry, pigments for the cosmetic industry, for example.
Well, let's kind of take a look at the entire sales volume then. I understand that Korea, the Merck's Korean office is one of the most lucrative in the world out of all your different world stations there. How big of a sales volume are we talking in Korea?
I think these are sort of, I wouldn't say company secrets, but let's put it that way. Korea is a very important country for us.
What about in terms of ranking then? Because from what I understand, it's pretty up there even with the main head office.
Yeah, I think Korea is one of the 3 or 4 most important countries for us within the Merck Group. Yeah. Hence our heavy investment in this country. We invested here in application laboratories, we invested in a factory for liquid crystal mixing. So I think we are well established in the Korean economy in that respect.
As we all know, global economy not exactly in peak form these days. How would you take the global economic situation?
It's fragile, let's put it that way. Yeah, see, I think Merck, so far, we as a company, we did quite well because we have only generate a small part of our turnover in Europe. It's mainly, or in Germany, it's mainly international. We're very international. We are in 68 countries around the world with 40,000 people. But if you look at the euro situation in Europe, the euro, the currency, it is worrying, really is worrying. Yeah. And if the overborrowing of all the countries, look at America, the indebtedness is incredible. So the whole Western world seems to have lived well beyond its means for the past 20 years. And at one stage, of course, you have to pay the bill. And this is coming closer. So we have to be very careful what steps we take next to stabilize world economy.
Well, as you know, the global economy not exactly in its best form. How's your take on the global economic situation right now?
We are prepared because we've got a strong balance sheet, a very strong balance sheet. The best you can do, have a strong balance sheet, reduce your debt, company debt. We have a very low debt level, and be innovative. Try to develop the current products we have further and go into new business areas like OLCD we do, to be prepared for the next generation of products to come out. That's all you can do as a company.
How much longer would you say the global economic crisis is expected to last? I mean, what kind of steps would you say need to be taken to boost the economy?
It's a very difficult question.
It is indeed.
I don't have a crystal ball, but my personal view is it will take quite a while because particularly the European governments and also the American government, they are not prepared to take the necessary steps which they really should take. And that start stopping increase the debts of the countries further and further. If you look at it, they are all totally overborrowed. For how long can that go on? So either you have to accept inflation, which we do not want, and of course if you boost demand, you also can create again inflation. So it's a vicious circle then. I think household discipline, what every normal housekeeper does at home in his private pocket, to keep discipline, is also necessary for all the governments. And one should not forget, America's got a strong industrial base, so has Germany and many other European countries. But Greece, for example, they haven't got that. So the question is, how long can Greeks stay into the euro? I don't think they will stay in the euro. It's my personal view, because it doesn't work. We have shown that. And now already the European governments come to the point that they no longer want to support Greece because there are hundreds of billions of euros wasted at the end. So I think we're looking ahead of a very interesting next 6 months. A lot will be decided then. But I'm afraid it's always difficult to take things away from people after they get used to it.
But it does seem that being that Merck, like you said, over 60 offices worldwide, not all concentrated in Europe. Relatively speaking, you are doing your best to brace yourselves against it.
Yes, I think we are relatively well
backed for it.
Balanced in that respect. But on the other hand, we are dependent on the world economy as any other company is.
In terms of the Korean office, it had a very aggressive growth strategy, even kind of at the peak of the crisis we saw in 2009. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit on how Korea's division in Merck was prepared to handle the crisis.
I think what we have a very close cooperation with our Korean partners. I think that's a secret. Yeah. So we are not in that respect aggressive, yeah, but we follow our partners, we work together with them. And I think that's the best assurance for have a thriving business for the future. If you work with your partners like LG or Samsung.
Now, Korea is part of Merck's 7 strategic countries. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, there are important countries and less important countries. Yeah. And strategic countries are, of course, America, Japan, Korea, Brazil. So all countries with a lot of growth potential, where you've got an educated workforce and which produce products which are well thought after in the world. Yeah. For example, the flat panel industry in Korea or the car industry becoming more and more important. If you go to Europe, Kia now, for example, it's a very popular car in Germany by now. Yeah. So we are trying to follow this trend. As a company, you have to. Mm-hmm. So if you work in more than 67 countries we are in, you have to concentrate on some countries of being the core countries where you put more resources in.
And Korea is within those 7.
Within, and Korea is within the 7. It begins with the management. You do not have management capacity, top management, to serve all 67 countries. Yeah? Right. So you have to choose some countries.
Then what is the reasoning behind that prioritizing then, whether it be Korea or your 7 other countries? Why does Merck value these 7?
Simply the growth prospects. What these countries, in our view, offer for the next. You can only overlook a certain period. Yeah? You may overlook 5 years or 10 years. And we, in our analysis, took the view that these 7 countries are the most obvious countries to develop for the next years to come, where we want to participate with our products and with our services we can provide to these countries, to the industry of these countries.
So Korea, what factors or what qualities does the country present in terms of it being an effective country to target in that sense? Like, for example, is it a good testing market for other Asian countries?
It is, yes, it is a good testing market because look at, for example, at Korean consumers, they're like mobile phones, yeah? So as we call, in Germany, you call them handy, yeah? So it's a mobile phone. In Germany, the average one has got his mobile phone for 2 or 3 years. Mine is nearly 5 years old. Wow. But yours, I suppose, is only half a year old, yeah?
Yeah, so that's pretty old.
It's pretty old already, yeah, you say it yourself. Mm-hmm. So the Koreans love all the modern gadgets, yeah? They want to test them to have the newest one available.
Early adopters, yeah. Right? Early
adopters, yeah. So it's a good market, yeah? Mm-hmm. On the other hand, and that's a more private remark, I always compare the Koreans as the Prussians of Asia. So they work hard, they are disciplined, everything works in this country, it's functioning. And of course that gives you a lot of security as an international company to operate here.
Right. And Merck, you have substantial support from many conglomerates within Korea. I understand a lot of Korean companies are stepping up their investment within Merck as well. There are also plans for a new research and development center and more expansion. Could you elaborate a little bit on those plans for us?
No, it's a very natural thing. You follow your clients. Yeah? If your clients they develop their products further, and with our help they develop them, and of course we have to support our clients. In this case, the big Korean conglomerates, and so it's logical that we also have to invest into new R&D centers, for example. Otherwise, we couldn't serve them. Because we can't do it all out of Darmstadt. We don't want to. We want to be on the spot. Because they want our opinion and our work in progress in a very short way. Mm-hmm. You only can do it if you're in the country.
So what would you say Merck is expecting from some of these investments then? What are some of the hopes?
Oh, the hopes are that we have a good return, that we do good business.
Simply put, right?
It's very simple, yeah. And up to now, I think our Korean partners also expect from us that we give them the quality of products they need and help them to develop their own products. And up to now, I think we have got a very close and very good working relationship with them.
There's one more question I wanted to ask you regarding, in fact, the book that you have right by your side.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, it's a book about Merck history, it's the whole family and company history, and for the first time written not in German. It's the first non-German publication of the Merck history, called The Merck Way. we are very proud that it was a Korean company who produced this book and who wrote it about our history from 1668 to 2012-13 now, so nearly 350 years.
As one of the most successful family businesses in the world.
Well, there are other successful, but at least we survived for 350 years, and that's quite unique. Yeah. And of course, we are also in the process now of writing the same book in German for our 350 years anniversary in 2018.
Oh, okay. Well, then, regarding your personal dreams, maybe you can share with us a little bit on that as such a prominent figure in Merck and whatnot.
My personal dream and hope is that we can pass on the company to our children and grandchildren, because you see, Merck family doesn't always see itself as trustees for the business. So we want the business to thrive, and that we can hand it over to our children, and already now to our grandchildren, that the company may survive another 350 years. Yeah, that's a personal dream, and I'm quite sure we are on the best way currently to achieve that.
I think coming from 1688 to now, surviving especially even the crisis that we're going through, it's a safe bet that that will indeed happen. But thank you very much for your time, sir, and for all of your insight regarding Merck and its history.
Thank you very much for giving me your time. I was very pleased to talk about Merck to you. Thank you.
Thank you.